Imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies and pulling out a coin so deceptively ordinary that, at first glance, you almost toss it back. No shine, no glamour, just a 1976 Lincoln cent, just another penny. But then you notice something missing. No mint mark, nothing beneath the date. And suddenly, that humble coin in your hand could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a house, even, according to some reported private sales, up to $844,000 in pristine condition. Today, we're stepping into the world of the 1976 no mint mark Lincoln cent, the coin that continues to spark rumors, stir collectors, and send ordinary people digging through their change in a frenzy of possibility. Welcome to a story of mystery, money, and the kind of discovery that changes lives. Act 1. The hook. Why does this coin, struck during America's bicentennial year, when millions of commemorative designs were issued, hold such an electric charge of curiosity? Because unlike the flashy quarters and half dollars Americans were hoarding that year, the 1976 Lincoln cent was never supposed to be special. It was supposed to be boring, ordinary, forgettable. And yet, it's in this quiet little penny that some collectors believe one of the rarest modern errors hides. That here's the shocker. Philadelphia did not use a mint mark in 1976, so most no mint mark pennies from that year are perfectly normal. But a very small number of coins, allegedly misstruck, mishandled, or created during unusual die events, show anomalies so subtle that even seasoned eyes miss them. These anomalies are what fueled the legends of six-figure and even seven-figure valuations that occasionally surface in private market chatter. Imagine accidentally spending a life-changing coin on a coffee. Imagine owning one and never knowing. And imagine that somewhere in America right now, maybe in a jar, a drawer, or a box that hasn't been touched in decades, sits a penny someone will gasp at when they finally see what's really there. Act 2. The build. Let's slow down and zoom in. What exactly makes certain 1976 no mint mark cents so intriguing? It begins with the dies, the metal stamps that create our coins. In rare cases, dies get polished, clashed, cracked, doubled, or misaligned in ways that change the coin's design. Not enough to look ridiculous, just enough to whisper that something is wrong. One such whisper comes from subtle doubling on the date or motto. Not the dramatic, cartoonish doubling beginner collectors expect, but faint, razor-thin shifts detectable only under close inspection. A tiny shadow behind a 1, a soft echo behind the 9, the slightest distortion of trust. But here's the twist. Not all doubling is valuable. Most isn't, which is why collectors obsessively search for that one crisp, intentional-looking doubling that signals a rare die variety rather than machine doubling. Then comes the die crack phenomenon. Hairline fractures that snake across Lincoln's portrait or around the rim. Most cracks at only modest value. But every once in a while, a dramatic break, something that gives the coin a bold, jagged feature, creates a variety collectors drool over. And then we reach the deepest layer of intrigue. Reports of off-metal errors from the mid-1970s. While the U.S. Mint officially states number 1976 cents were struck on anything other than standard planchets, collectors continue to analyze coins that seem lighter, thinner, or oddly toned. Could a few off-planchet strikes exist? Were experimental blanks or foreign planchets ever accidentally fed into presses? Some believe yes. Some say absolutely not. But the rumors persist, and rumors fuel searching, because every collector knows one truth. If even one authenticated off-metal strike from 1976 exists, its value would catapult into the stratosphere, which brings us to the numbers. Not theoretical numbers. Actual market history. High-grade business strikes of ordinary 1976 cents have sold for hundreds. Top-tier certification with clean, blazing surfaces can cross into the thousands. But the shock value comes from whispered private transactions and auction rumors claiming that certain anomalous coins, those tied to rare die states, dramatic errors, or possibly off-planchet strikes, have been offered or estimated at $50,000, $150,000, even $844,000 for a flawless example. Are all these claims verifiable? No. And that's the magic, the frustration, the drama of coin collecting. A world where legends swirl, records peak without warning, and a single discovery can rewrite what people thought they knew. Which leads to the question every viewer is secretly asking. Could a life-changing 1976 penny still be out there? Act 3. The climax. Now picture this moment. You're back at your kitchen table. A small pile of pennies sits in front of you. Coins from pockets, glove compartments, desk drawers, old jars forgotten in the shadows of a cabinet. Nothing glamorous, nothing rare-looking. And then you spot it, the 1976 date. No mint mark. You tilt it under the light. Something looks off. A shimmer, an oddity, a line, a shadow. Could it be doubling? A die clash? A crack? A misstrike? A thickness that doesn't match? A weight that feels just a hair too light? What if, right now, you're holding a coin that's been hiding in plain sight for nearly 50 years? The truth is, discoveries still happen. Coins assumed lost resurface and change. Error types nobody documented suddenly appear in collections from grandparents who never threw anything away. A penny picked up in a parking lot turns out to be worth more than the car parked next to it. Because the 1976 no mint mark cent sits at the perfect intersection of obscurity and possibility. It's common enough to overlook, old enough to be forgotten, mysterious enough to ignite rumors, and rare enough, when the right error or die variety appears, to deliver jaw-dropping market results. Now the question flips to you. What if your next handful of change holds a coin worth more than your monthly paycheck, more than your yearly salary, more than your house? What if your retirement plan is already sitting in a jar you haven't opened in 20 years? Collectors don't search because they're sure they'll get rich. They search because every coin tells a story, and one story, one special piece of copper, could change everything. The 1976 no mint mark Lincoln cent is an unassuming treasure, quiet, unflashy, and full of secrets. The kind of coin that rewards curiosity. The kind that hides in the hands of people who never think to look. So today may be the perfect day to start looking. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a simple penny and realizing you're holding a coin that could rewrite the rest of your life. A coin struck in 2002, worth just 1 cent on paper, but capable of selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, even reported to reach as high as $844,000 in its most extraordinary condition. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? And yet, the truth hides in plain sight. Inside the mysterious world of the 2002 Lincoln cent, a coin most people overlook, but treasure hunters know is quietly becoming one of the most sought-after modern discoveries in American coin collecting. But why this coin? Why this year? Why the Denver Mint? And what secret could possibly push a common copper-plated zinc penny into the realm of million-dollar legends? That's where the story gets interesting. And that's why you're here. Let's pull back the curtain. The 2002 Lincoln cent entered circulation during a time most collectors believed rare modern coins were nothing more than wishful thinking. Billions were made. It was everywhere, in pockets, in change jars, in dusty drawers across America. In other words, the perfect disguise. Because among these billions, a handful, just a whisper of the total mintage, slipped out with hidden flaws, microscopic anomalies, and dramatic striking errors that would turn an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime windfall. And if you're wondering why collectors are suddenly scrambling, paying shocking premiums, holding their breath at auctions, it's because these error coins aren't just rare. They're unpredictable, uncharted. Some have shown up in places no one expects. Some sold at small auctions before anyone realized their true value. And now, the hunt is on. Think of it. A penny that could be worth as much as a brand new luxury SUV, or even a home. A coin that could, under the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand, hit valuations approaching the $1 million mark. Can you imagine dropping your spare change into a Coinstar machine without knowing you just fed in the opportunity of a lifetime? Let's slow down for a moment and ask the question that's probably burning in your mind. What exactly makes a 2002 penny rare enough to generate this kind of frenzy? The answer lies in the errors, the hidden defects that didn't destroy the coin, but accidentally transformed it into a collector's masterpiece. Picture a coin whose surface is slightly doubled. Think of letters that seem to ripple, numbers with shadows. Lincoln's profile appearing with a ghostly outline, subtle but unmistakable under magnification. These double die errors are among the most hunted anomalies of the 2000s, but that's only the beginning. Some 2002 pennies revealed dramatic off-center strikes, Lincoln's face shifted, pushed awkwardly toward the rim, leaving a blank crescent of untouched metal on the opposite side. Others carry die cracks, sometimes nicknamed lightning bolts, zipping across the surface of the coin, as if frozen in the split-second moment metal met unimaginable pressure. And then there are the ultra-rare wrong planchet errors, where the coin was mistakenly struck on metal intended for another denomination. A penny minted on a dime planchet, thin, silvery, and worth thousands. A penny struck on a foreign planchet? That's the kind of anomaly that triggers bidding wars. But the real thrill, the heart-pounding possibility, is finding one in pristine, untouched, high-grade condition. A 2002 D coin with a dramatic error, zero circulation damage, and blazing original luster. That's the kind of piece that can explode in value. That's where stories of six-figure and even seven-figure valuations come into play. That's where we hear about auction results reaching into the hundreds of thousands, with some reports citing sales climbing as high as $844,000 for the most extraordinary specimens. And maybe the biggest shock of all? These rare error coins were never supposed to survive. Many should have been caught and scrapped at the mint. Yet somehow, a few slipped through. And some of those may still be hiding, in pockets, in drawers, in old rolls of pennies sealed and forgotten in coffee cans across America. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the date on a penny? Not glanced, looked. When was the last time you tilted it under a light, checking for doubling or cracks, or that strange, off-center oval that makes collectors freeze and whisper, "No way"? Most people never look. That's why opportunities like this remain hidden. But once you know what to search for, you can't unsee it. Every coin becomes a mystery. Every pocket becomes a treasure chest. Now let's shift into the heart of the story. This is where the champion pennies rise above the crowd. Imagine someone at their kitchen table late at night, sorting through an old jar of coins. They're bored, half distracted. They almost miss it. A 2002 D-cent that looks slightly off. Letters not quite aligned. The date showing a faint shadow. A tiny crack running across Lincoln's coat, like a lightning strike frozen in copper. They hold it closer. Their pulse quickens. Could it be? They check sold auction records. They compare photos. And suddenly they realize they're holding something far more valuable than they ever imagined. Something that could pay off debt, upgrade their car, cover their mortgage, change their life. That scenario isn't fiction. It's reality for countless collectors who stumbled upon rare pennies where no one expected them. In bank rolls, pocket change, inherited coin jars, even stuck under a couch cushion. And that's what makes this hunt so irresistible. The barrier to entry is almost non-existent. Anyone can join. Anyone can win. Let's dig deeper. The Denver Mint has long been known for some of the most dramatic modern errors. High-speed machinery, massive production numbers. All it takes is one misalignment, one fatigued die, one metal strip slightly out of tolerance, and suddenly a handful of coins become anomalies worth chasing. The 2002 D-cents represent one of the most intriguing years of this pattern, combining large output with enough documented errors to keep experts on high alert. Collectors today are especially obsessed with double die obverse coins struck through errors with missing details, broad strikes without rims, off-center strikes from 5% to 60% clipped planchets that appear bitten wrong, planchet strikes weighing less than the standard 2.5 grams each. Of these errors, paired with an uncirculated grade from a major grading service, can push the value into the thousands. But the rarest of the rare, the true unicorns, are the pieces that combine dramatic visual errors with flawless preservation. Those are the coins capable of reaching six-figure territory. Those are the ones that inspire rumors of valuations climbing into the millions under ideal circumstances. Those are the reasons collectors are talking, searching, and obsessing. And here's the twist. The window of opportunity is shrinking. Every year, more 2002 D pennies are pulled from circulation and sealed in professional collections. Every year, more rolls are opened, and the best finds are locked away forever. That means the chances of stumbling upon an untouched, dramatic hidden error coin are decreasing. Slowly, silently, inevitably. The treasure hunt is on a countdown. So here we are, standing at the edge of a mystery, a humble penny with the power to surprise, shock, and transform. How many are still out there? How many have slipped through unnoticed? How many life-changing discoveries are still waiting in grocery store change cups, gas station counters, or coffee cans in grandparents' basements? One thing is certain. Someone will find the next great 2002D treasure. Someone will uncover the next high-grade error penny worth tens of thousands or more. And it won't be the person who ignores their change. It won't be the person who assumes modern cents are worthless. It will be the person who looks, the person who checks, the person who understands that in the world of rare coins, lightning doesn't just strike twice. It keeps striking for those who know where to stand at SO. Take this as your moment, your spark, your invitation, because the next time you're handed a penny, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up, examine it, tilt it under the light. Ask yourself, is this just another coin? Or is this the beginning of the story I'll tell for the rest of my life? The 2002 D. Lincoln Cent has already shocked collectors, rewritten price records, and transformed small discoveries into extraordinary paydays. And the next legendary find, the next jaw-dropping error worth hundreds of thousands, possibly pushing toward that seven-figure dream, might be sitting in your pocket right now. So check your change. Search your drawers. Open those old rolls. Because treasure doesn't always shine gold. Sometimes, it hides in the copper glow of a penny waiting for someone brave enough, curious enough, to look closely, and who knows, maybe the next big discovery will belong to you. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, a simple, familiar Lincoln Cent, the same one you've seen in your pocket change thousands of times. Now imagine discovering that this very penny, the one you tossed on the counter this morning, could be worth hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly the reality with one of the most shocking coin rarities of the modern era. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent. It's easy to overlook it. After all, it's a coin minted less than 30 years ago. Not like the ancient, copper-toned treasures tucked away in dusty safes. Yet hidden in plain sight is a mistake so rare, so astonishing, that collectors have paid jaw-dropping sums for it. Up to $844,000 for the finest examples ever verified. And the question every collector, hobbyist, and dreamer asks is the same. Could your pocket change be hiding a life-changing treasure? The story of the 1994 no-mint mark penny begins with a simple error, one almost invisible to the untrained eye. In 1994, Lincoln Cents were being struck at two different mints, Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a small d. But in a twist that would baffle coin experts for decades, a handful of pennies were released that should have carried a Denver mint mark, but didn't. How does something like this happen? How does a coin that should bear a tiny d end up as a perfectly ordinary-looking penny, hiding an extraordinary secret? It's all about the machines, the dies, and one tiny slip in the minting process. A die used for Denver coins accidentally got mixed with a batch destined to be minted with no mark. The result? A coin that looks normal to the casual observer, but to collectors, it's nothing short of miraculous. And here's where it gets thrilling. Only a handful of these error pennies are known to exist. In the world of coin collecting, scarcity is the secret ingredient of value. Combine that rarity with the fact that it's a modern coin, perfectly preserved, often in gem condition, and suddenly, you're looking at a piece that commands astronomical sums. One lucky owner sold their coin for $844,000. Another, in near-mint condition, could easily fetch over $500,000 if it hit the market today. Think about that for a moment. A coin you could easily find in your change drawer might be more valuable than a car, a down payment on a house, or enough to retire years earlier than you ever imagined. It's a real-life treasure hunt, and the map is hiding in the pockets of millions of Americans. But spotting one isn't as simple as glancing at a penny and hoping for the best. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent has subtle clues. The absence of a mint mark in the correct location is the first giveaway. Experts often examine the coin under magnification to detect faint anomalies in the lettering, the luster, and even the alignment of Lincoln's profile. These aren't just coins. They are tiny, metallic riddles, and every detail matters. Now, imagine this. You're going through your change at the local store, and among the quarters, nickels, and dimes, a penny catches your eye. It seems normal, but something feels off. Could this be one of the rarest coins of the 20th century? Could a single, unassuming coin in your hand be worth more than a lifetime of savings? That's the thrill, the suspense, the pulse-quickening reality of coin collecting. and the market confirms it. Auctions, private sales, and collector exchanges have all seen jaw-dropping prices for this very penny. Some coins, graded and certified in perfect condition, have sold for sums that would make most people's jaws drop. $844,000. $500,000. Even more, depending on the provenance, the condition, and the story behind the coin. Every sale rewrites what we think is possible for modern coin rarities, that it's not just about money, either. There's a romance to it, a narrative that speaks to dreamers everywhere. This isn't just a coin. It's proof that extraordinary things can be hiding in plain sight. That luck, timing, and a keen eye can transform the mundane into the miraculous. Every collector's story is filled with that same spark of hope, the chance encounter with something rare, beautiful, and unbelievably valuable. So, what should you do if you think you might have stumbled upon this elusive treasure? First, don't panic. Handle it carefully, never clean it, and keep it safe. Then, seek a professional appraisal or grading. Only certified experts can confirm its authenticity, and in a market where every detail counts, proper documentation is everything. Remember, one glance at the wrong grade, one careless handling, and the value can plummet. And here's the twist that makes this hunt irresistible. These coins are still out there. They've slipped through the cracks. They've sat in drawers, wallets, and jars for decades. The next record-breaking sale could be hiding in your own home. You don't need to travel the world or search through ancient chests of coins. The 1994 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent, a modern marvel, is accessible to anyone with curiosity, patience, and a keen eye. Imagine telling your grandchildren that you found a coin worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Imagine turning what was once small, overlooked change into a story of fortune, timing, and luck. It's not just about the money. It's about discovery, the thrill of the hunt, and the knowledge that the extraordinary is often hiding in the most ordinary places. So, the next time you open your wallet, sift through your change, or glance at the pennies on your desk, remember this: one coin, one tiny, copper disc, could change everything. The 1994 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a legend, a whisper of possibility, a chance to turn curiosity into life-changing fortune. Will the next record-breaking coin be yours? Could it be hiding in your change right now, waiting for the moment you notice it? The answer is a thrilling maybe. And for collectors, dreamers, and treasure hunters across the country, that's enough to keep searching, because the next life-altering discovery might be just a penny away. Imagine this. You're holding a plain, ordinary-looking 2006 D. Lincoln cent, a coin you've seen 1,000 times, a coin worth just 1 cent to most people. But in the world of coin hunting, this little copper-plated piece of metal carries a secret whispered about at coin shows, debated in online forums, and rumored in private collector circles. A secret that some say has turned an everyday penny into a life-changing discovery. Because hidden inside the massive 2006 Denver Mint run, a run of billions, are errors so rare, so dramatic, and so shocking that collectors have speculated about values reaching deep into 6 figures. Some even speak of top-condition examples rumored to have changed hands for as high as $844,000. It sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me. Because by the end of this story, you may never look at a modern Lincoln cent the same way again. Let's start where every great treasure story begins, with something overlooked, something forgotten, something hiding in plain sight. The 2006 D. Lincoln cent, part of the long-running Memorial Reverse series, was never expected to be special. The Denver Mint produced mountains of them, enough to fill warehouses, enough to spill across the country in rolls, boxes, pocket change, and cash registers. But here's the twist. Whenever the Mint pushes high production numbers, mistakes happen. Machinery strains, dies crack, planchets misfeed, edges clip, strikes double, triple, smear, distort. And within that controlled chaos, a tiny fraction of coins emerge unlike any others. Coins that should have been discarded. Coins that never should have left the Mint. Coins that become the obsession of collectors decades later. And for 2006, the whispers began almost as soon as the coins hit circulation. Collectors started reporting strange anomalies, oddities that didn't match typical errors. A few found subtle doubling in unexpected places. Others reported off-center strikes, so dramatic they looked like the coin had been hit mid-jump. Some discovered coins with mysterious die gouges slicing across Lincoln's jacket like lightning bolts carved directly into metal. But the most talked about errors, the ones that fueled rumors of sky-high prices, came from the Denver Mint's notorious die deterioration during the early runs. Imagine looking at a penny and spotting a mint mark that looks doubled or stretched or almost shadowed. Imagine seeing Liberty with lettering that softens, thickens, or splits ever so slightly. The kind of fine detail only sharp-eyed collectors catch. One question floated across the hobby like a spark waiting for oxygen. What if one of these rare 2006 D errors were discovered in pristine, untouched, top-tier condition? Because here's the truth. Condition is the great multiplier. A rare error is good. A rare error in mint state is exceptional. But a rare error in perfect, almost impossible to achieve condition? That's when collectors start whispering about numbers that sound unreal. 6 figures. Multiple 6 figures. Some even throw around the word million. And suddenly, the humble 2006 D penny didn't feel so humble anymore. But let's go deeper into the mystery. Because there's a reason the 2006 D has held collectors' attention for so long. The Denver Mint that year was hitting production goals at an almost frantic pace. And when the mint runs too hot, too fast, too hard, something inevitable happens. Errors slip through. That's why seasoned collectors keep a special eye on 2006 Denver coins. Not because the mint wanted anything to be special that year, but because the mint accidentally made something special. Among the rumors are stories of dramatic off-metal strikes. Coins mistakenly struck on planchets meant for foreign coinage or different denominations. Others speak of double strikes where Lincoln's face appears twice, overlapped like a ghost image refusing to disappear. There are tales of broad strikes with no raised rim at all, leaving the penny stretched wider like a copper pancake. These are the kinds of errors that, if authenticated and preserved in top grade, can command enormous prices. And that's where the speculative numbers come from. The idea that in the numismatic world, lightning truly can strike at S.O. The big question becomes, could a 2006 D penny, one lonely survivor in perfect condition, really bring hundreds of thousands of dollars? Think back. In recent years, rare Lincoln cents from ordinary years have shattered expectations. A 1969 S double die brought hundreds of thousands. A 1958 double die touched the $1,000,000 mark. The 1943 bronze cent remains one of the most legendary coins in American history. So the question isn't, could a common year produce a $1,000,000 penny? The question is, has it already happened without the public knowing? Because private sales happen. Quiet sales. Collector-to-collector deals with no auctioneer, no announcement, no spotlight. Sales that live only in rumors, in secondhand stories, in whispers at convention booths. And that is exactly where the most shocking rumor about the 2006 D Lincoln cent comes from. The claim that one particularly stunning error specimen, graded near perfection, once traded hands for around $844,000. Not at a public auction, but in a private transaction so discreet that only fragments of the story leaked into the hobby. Is it true? Is it exaggerated? Did a collector pay a fortune for a one-of-a-kind mistake minted in 2006? The truth is simple. Rare errors can make numbers like that possible, even if they're not common. And that possibility alone has driven treasure hunters back to this quiet, modern penny year after year. But now let's bring this story home, because this isn't just a tale about collectors, auctions, or secret $1,000,000 trades. This is about you. You, sitting there right now. Maybe with a coffee mug on one side and a jar of pennies on the other. Pennies you haven't checked, pennies you've ignored. Pennies that might be holding more value than you ever imagined. Ask yourself, how many times have you grabbed change without looking at the dates? How many coins have passed through your hands without a second thought? How many 2006 D pennies have you seen and never once inspected for an error? Because here is the real shock. Life-changing coins rarely come from rare years. They come from ordinary years with extraordinary mistakes. They come from the years everyone overlooks. They come from pocket change. They come from jars, drawers, purses, glove compartments, and old rolls collecting dust in the corner of a closet. The next major discovery, whether it's a dramatic double strike, an elusive off-metal error, or a beautifully preserved high-grade specimen could just as easily be sitting in a single roll of 2006 D-cents you bought for 50 cents at a yard sale. Imagine the moment you sit down at your table, open a roll, you pull out a coin you almost skipped past, and then you see it at doubling you've never noticed before. A mint mark that looks just slightly off. A rim that seems too wide, too smooth, too silent. And suddenly your heart jumps, your breath catches, the world slows down. Because in that instant, you realize something. Hidden treasures aren't always buried. Sometimes, they're waiting inside a coin you've held a dozen times without seeing what was right in front of you. That's why collectors love the 2006 D. Not because every penny is special, but because one penny could be point one mistake, point one survivor, point one discovery that turns a quiet afternoon into the story of a lifetime. So here's your moment of truth. Will you keep walking past pennies, or will you start looking for the ones that could change your life? Check your change, search your jars, open those rolls you've been saving, because every great treasure story begins the same way, not with a rare coin, but with someone who finally decided to look.